Hey, it's Saya.
I'm Nicole.
It's Tiffany.
I'm Carol.
And this is what keeps us together.
Basically, the group chat in your head.
Living rent free.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Welcome back.
Yes. And today we have a special guest. Natalie M. Bailey, M.ED, is our guest today.
Yeah.
She's from Herndon, Virginia, and a proud alumna of Spelman College, where she majored in psychology. And then after graduating from Spelman, she pursued her Master of Arts and Master of Education at Teachers College, Columbia University. For over 20 years, she's worked in the mental health field. Working with children and families has truly been her passion. Currently, Natalie's employed with Prince William County Schools as an elementary school counselor. As a licensed school counselor, she's committed to fostering and developing the academic, social, and emotional needs of students grade kindergarten through 5. Prior to becoming an elementary school counselor, she was employed as a social services specialist.
There it is.
3 with Fairfax County, where she investigated messed me up. Allegations of abuse and neglect. This is not funny. Okay, this is serious stuff.
It is serious stuff.
Additionally, she facilitated African-American parenting classes to residents of Fairfax County and neighboring counties. She's a member of several professional, civic, and nonprofit organizations, but most importantly, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, and she's married to Irvin Bailey. And they have 2 teenagers, Jayla and EJ, where they enjoy traveling, bicycling, playing board games, and trying new restaurants. Welcome.
Booty.
Thank you.
Yes.
I like it.
Love it.
All right, so we like to play a game with our guests called This or That.
Okay.
So you can just say the one thing. If you feel the need to explain, you can.
Also, we might grill you with questions based on your answers.
Yeah.
I'm ready.
Okay, coffee or tea?
Can I say neither?
Yeah.
Neither.
Okay. How do you live?
I don't do caffeine at all.
Just riding off your own generated energy?
All of
What's
this.
that like? You have a good bedtime routine?
Yes.
What time do you go to bed?
9:30.
That'll
Me
do
too.
it.
I still need. Okay.
At 9:30?
Yes.
Okay. I'm moving on.
Okay.
Okay. Tattoos or piercings?
Both.
Yay.
Dogs or babies?
Babies.
Winning the lottery or finding your soulmate?
Ooh, pressure.
You can't say both.
I'm going to say finding my soulmate. We can be broke together.
Wow.
Wow. That's love.
That is real love.
That is love.
If I had some money, I could find me a soulmate.
I can buy one. Can buy me a soulmate.
Wow. Not you can buy you a soulmate.
Okay. Tubi or Zeus?
What's Zeus?
I told you.
Okay. They're both ratchet networks.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Tubi because that's what everyone's talking about.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Little kids or senior citizens?
Ugh.
Not to both of them.
I'm going to go with little kids.
Okay.
Don't you work every day?
I only like the people in the middle. Self-sufficient. That's where she's
That
like.
wasn't an option. All right. Driving fast or driving slow?
Go fast.
Come on now. That's what I like to hear.
Painful truth or comforting lie?
Painful truth.
Mm-hmm.
A store where every item is free or a restaurant where every dish is calorie free?
Only stores? Oh, sorry. I'm not answering for me.
A store where everything is free.
What do you say?
Is it only stores or is it just like life?
A store.
A store.
Does that mean
I
like
want a
I can choose the
restaurant.
Okay,
airline?
never mind. Yeah, I got too many questions.
Give me some food.
No, it's fine. Would you rather never be stuck in traffic again or never get another cold?
Stuck in traffic.
Same.
I agree with traffic. Would you rather be completely invisible for one day or be able to fly for one day?
Oh, invisible. That's like a superpower.
It's an introvert.
He knows me too.
Okay.
What would you be creeping on?
Everybody.
You gotta time it out. You only have a day.
You got 24 hours. And you can't fly, so you know.
You gotta take the train.
All right, this is what I want everyone to answer. Would you rather travel the world for a year, all expenses paid, or have $40,000 to spend on whatever you want?
Travel.
Travel the world.
Those are not equal opposites.
Okay, well, I picked travel too.
So I know we're all here.
Okay. Would you rather speak to animals or speak 10 foreign languages?
10
Foreign
foreign
languages.
languages.
Oh, I want to talk to animals.
No. I like animals.
Okay, that one just stay away from you.
I don't want to talk to them. I just want to know what they're saying.
So if you need to run, like, oh,
Yes.
that girl over there about to get bit. Watch
Like that.
this.
I can hear that bear coming. Let me go right now.
But you know, interested in talking to people.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, right.
Or you can
That's
tell-
what type of humans for. Weird. And then lastly, would you rather walk barefoot in a public restroom or get poisoned?
Poisoned.
Poison.
Is it solvable?
Yep.
Like, are we gonna die?
I thought the same thing. Like, I'd rather be shocked that I'm about to die than walk into something knowingly. You know what I mean?
Foot fungus for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Living.
All right. That was it.
Oh god,
Wow, that was very
funny.
lively.
Yes. No, I laughed so hard.
Funny.
You never let us down.
You're welcome.
If you ever need a good game night or a good game idea, that's the one.
Oh,
For
Carol.
sure. For
Always
sure.
call Carol.
Wait.
Yeah.
There's some stipulations.
There's a lot of rules.
Lord.
Spice.
All right. So, as you heard, Natalie's background has a lot to do with kids. So, we thought this week for our song of the week, we would do something with relation to parents and children. So, we're going to have our song of the week to be based on songs that our parents introduced to us. Anybody want to go first? Anybody want to?
I can go first. So my dad loves Lou Rawls. We used to play it when we would drive to Mississippi for those 20 hours.
Ooh.
And so the song he loved was You'll Never Find dun, 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 Love Like This.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Is that the same Another Love Like Mine? Is that like another bar in the song?
Yeah.
Okay. I was just trying to understand it better.
Sure.
Same song.
Don't remember.
Okay. Mine is Luther Vandross, Never Too Much. Like my family, like definitely we were like big Luther Vandross fans. And even to this day, I feel like his passing isn't commemorated enough in our culture for me.
agree.
I
RIP.
like feel like people don't talk about him enough. I hate that for him. We had like a full day of mourning when he passed.
Yeah.
We went to, I think at Costco, they had like probably a VHS or like DVD like of all his music videos.
Oh.
Like
Oh.
simultaneously, just like happenstance, and we watched all his music videos that day.
Wow, not Costco
It was
knowing.
cool.
Right.
Anyways, yeah, actually creepy in hindsight.
Yeah. He needs a biopic.
does.
Whatever
I
it is.
agree.
Yeah.
Who would play him though? Maybe.
No,
Ruben
it's gotta be
Studdard,
somebody
they
we
would
don't
bring him out of
Don't do
hiding.
Ruben Studdard.
Don't do
Ruben?
that.
Why not?
No, I
No.
said if they would bring him out of, if he would come out of hiding.
I'm being
He's
rude.
in hiding. Yeah. Why
I mean,
not?
where has he been?
I don't know.
Anyway,
I feel like
sorry,
don't
we
we
digress.
usually like it when it's like not people we know already?
Personally, but you have an issue if they don't
No,
look
no.
like the person.
Oh yeah, I do have a issue with
But I feel like if it's somebody who can sing, like somebody who can sing like him, it would be.
the can he sing like him?
Yeah. Have you ever heard?
You can
Ruben
dub it for me
Studdard
as long as
sing?
you look
No,
like
I
him.
think he can
That's fine.
sing, but can he sing like Luther? That's what.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I don't think that matters anymore.
Anyway,
AI
sorry.
can make everyone
That's
sound
true.
like anyone.
That's true. I'd rather have someone that looks like him so I can actually get lost in him.
Yeah.
Tangent already, y'all.
Sorry.
Natalie, welcome. It's gonna be a lot of these detours.
All right.
Is it my turn?
It can be.
Okay. I don't know the actual title,
Okay.
but it's Shirley Caesar, and she's like talking about Mama, and she's talking and she's singing at the
I
same
remember
time.
Mama
Is that how it? Is that it?
in a happy way.
yes.
I
Oh.
remember Mama in a happy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And she talks about like catch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Sorry.
all my mom.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Shirley
Shirley
Caesar. And I don't
Caesar,
listen
okay.
to her now, but if the song comes on,
Yeah.
I know and I automatically go back.
Right.
Right.
No, I get it. I
Right.
get it.
Well, okay. So in the same vein, then I guess my mother would play. Well, my parents would stay at a cookout, so it was always cookout music. But one that sticks out the most is Luther Vandross' "Dance with My Father" because my mom is
Yeah.
They play that at the cookout.
so well. No, I mean like one.
What a downer.
Not at the cookout. Like if I had to choose one single solitary song,
Oh, okay.
it wouldn't necessarily be like I could pick a plethora of cookout songs, but
That's
Okay.
the one.
one song that sticks out to me that would come from my parents because my mom is a daddy's girl would be "Dance with My Father," and like it. I don't know. It's just that is just her song. She loves it, and if any chance she can play it, that's just her thing.
It's a great song. I don't want to hear it at a cookout, but it is a great song.
Someone did it for their father-daughter dance at their wedding, and I
Yes.
was like,
That's when I hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh, I feel like it's
died.
Yeah,
I
like
think it's sad. Yeah.
I mean,
like-
it is, but
No,
at the same
like, I understand like the
Yeah.
correlation, but it also just seems kind
Yeah.
of sad.
Yeah.
That's all.
'Cause isn't the nigga dead?
Okay. moving on.
Okay,
all right,
Carol, that's
so,
enough.
for my song this week,
We're 10 minutes in.
a lot is happening. We're only 10 minutes in. For mine, my parents were big Earth, Wind, and Fire
Oh,
fans, to the point where I've gone and seen Earth, Wind, and Fire with them. So, yes, huge fans. But the song that makes me think of them is Devotion. And all I can hear is my father. We both, because of him, I sing in falsetto because all he sings is in falsetto. Not that either one of us do it well. We don't do it well, but we sing in that way.
Can you give us an example?
No,
Go so many different directions with that. But I'm not
Nervous.
please, yes, please don't.
Tell us later.
But yes, that's whenever I think of Earth, Wind, and Fire or my parents, that's definitely the.
Huh,
Love
was
that.
very wholesome.
Isn't it? I mean, they gave me some others, but their favorite band.
Thought you were gonna say
Brick
like
House was
Juvenile
more-
or
Oh,
something.
that's my song.
Brick
That's
House.
my ringtone and everything. Like, yes, it's serious.
Brick House was my secondary song.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I have
All
secondaries.
the
I wanted that to be
time.
my wedding song, but they wouldn't let me.
No, they wouldn't let
Walking
me.
down the aisle.
Don't let them
Yes.
stop you.
Oh, when I renew my vows, that's when I'm walking.
Listen, I respect that choice.
I do too.
I love that for you. So for our cultural reference today, this came up because of a meme on Instagram, as usual. But we saw this one and it sparked an interesting conversation in our group chat, so we thought we'd bring it to y'all. It says, people that were raised by extremely strict parents, how has that affected you as an adult? And someone said, look at me, no social life, always hanging out with the same 2 to 3 faces. If they're busy, I'm stuck in my room or I'll just go solo. Sorry, I think I was supposed to read those in reverse.
No, I think you read it right. I think I read it wrong.
Oh, okay.
No.
So it sparked an interesting conversation because I think it was like a carousel or a lot of the comments were like regarding, oh yeah, I'm this way because of my parents and because my parents did this, now I'm like this. And we were talking about if that is steeped in truth or if that is, kind of you're marred by your upbringing. And so like, you're kind of like using that as an excuse. And so it also spurred like a whole bunch of other conversations that we had around childhood and parenting. So that's the lens from which we'll be having this conversation today. So to start us off, this is a hefty question to begin with, but
We're diving deep.
We did start it.
we're into the thick of it. Navigating how we were raised versus breaking unhealthy cycles. How do we want to begin this conversation?
Well, okay, so I have a question for our expert.
Okay.
When you have a daughter and a son, do you feel like how you were raised has affected your parenting style with your children?
Absolutely.
Okay, like do you want to do things differently or the same?
So I think I parent differently
Okay.
than my mom. And I had to kind of give like a backstory. Like my mom was strict, but she was also very permissive as well. I'm the youngest of 5.
Wait, what does that mean? How are you both?
My mom was.
Yeah. Sorry. How is she both?
Because I think she was tired by the time she got to me.
Okay.
Do what you want.
She intends to be strict, but it was
These are the
fine.
rules that's going to go on, please.
I really think that's how she was.
I feel that.
There's like a 9-year difference between me and my youngest brother.
Okay.
So with my children, I feel like I'm more hands-on. So
How was your mom when she had you?
how old?
Math.
Sorry. Sorry, Miss Linda. Sorry.
No, because there's a whole thing about my mom's age.
Oh, okay.
That I found out that she was a different age than what I thought. So, but we don't know.
Oh, Jesus.
I love
I know what you want to get.
I know. I
She
love
was
that part of her, though.
31 because we are 30. Hold on. I'm 42. She's 72. So we're 30 years apart.
Okay, so
Yeah.
she's still relatively young when she had you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
still tired because she had a.
She was
That's true.
tired.
Oh, that's true.
She was
Okay.
tired.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I think I parent completely different than my mom. Like I'm very hands-on in my children's life. Not to say that my mom wasn't,
hmm
but I know what they're doing. I know who their friends are and so forth.
Okay.
Do you find that it's have you found, sorry, whatever, like ways in which the way you were raised has like manifested in certain like areas of your parenting that you like either didn't expect or didn't want it?
Like how so?
Like, I don't know. I guess I'm projecting a fear. And so I wonder if it happens.
You mean like, do you feel in some ways you turned into your mother?
Yeah, like some ways that like you don't want to be this way, but because it's the way you were raised, it's like maybe like a reflex reaction for you. And you're like, wait, that's not actually
How I want to
what
do
I
this.
think or like how I want to approach this. But it is like a pathway that's already in my mind because I already like that's how it was for me.
I think there's a lot of things that my mom does to this day that I still do, even with that mama look. Like it just comes out. it just comes out, and like her mannerisms and the things that she says, I find myself saying, and I'm like, oh, I remember her saying this. Why am I saying it? But that's just how I was raised. But I don't discipline the same way my mom disciplined either.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of like, oh, what do you mean? So you're not going to beat your kids? No, I'm not. But that's how I was raised. But I chose to do something completely different.
Okay. Do you want to expound on that?
Sure. I feel like in my family, in the Black culture, you're supposed to beat your children. You're supposed to whip your children. You're supposed to yell at your children. I didn't want to because I know the ramifications of that. So I tried other discipline strategies. I mean, granted, there were consequences and there still are consequences in my house, but I didn't have to beat them. I didn't have to curse them out. There were other things that I could do, like take away your privileges. Or you want to go outside? Okay, you can go outside, but you're not going to ride your bike. So, I mean, it was just like for me getting crafty with my discipline. But for my mom, my aunts, my grandma, I'm going to grab the belt and that's it. There's going to be no conversation after that.
So how was it when your mom would watch your children and she would have to discipline them when she was there? Like, how was that conversation?
I was very firm. Do not beat my kids. You can put them in timeout. And she was like, what? We don't do timeout. Yeah, we do. In the Bailey household, we do. So I had to have that conversation. Like, there are other things you can do, but at no point are you allowed to beat my children. And it was clear. I mean, she didn't like it, but that's how they were raised.
Yeah, I was going to say, did your relationship with your mom change when she had kids?
I think so. I think she saw me more as an adult as opposed to this is my youngest daughter. This is my youngest child. She started to respect me for who I was as a woman.
Right. Ooh, so you don't think that happened until you had kids?
Yeah.
Do you know? Why do you think that? Like, why wasn't you just being older enough?
Because I was always the youngest. Yeah, it wasn't until I became a mom that I feel like my mom treated me different.
Like we're almost on the same level. Like we're both moms.
Yeah, we're both moms. I mean, I will always be her child.
Yeah.
Right.
But now we have this commonality for moms. We've raising children. We have raised children.
Do you think your education background changed how you approach parenting?
Yes.
So do you think you would have done things maybe the way you were taught if it wasn't for your education?
Yeah.
Okay.
I really do. And the profession that I'm in, I mean, I've done CPS. I've done parenting classes. I was telling other parents to do certain things that if I wasn't practicing it,
Right.
how could I really be the expert in that field?
Right.
So, and I knew I wanted my job. I wanted to keep my job.
Fair.
So, I mean, discipline.
Not your kids being beaten and being like, you about to lose your job.
So yeah, education definitely played a huge role.
Do you think
in how
that it helped having that, like, I assume like your education began before you started having kids.
Yes.
So like, I feel like now that we're in an era of like gentle parenting and there are like all these like, you know, TikToks, reels, like tips and tricks and like how hard it can be. Did it feel really difficult for you trying to deviate from like what you knew? Or did it feel like second nature to you?
It was like second nature.
Wow, powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna call you in the future.
I think like gentle parenting, that's just a new term.
Yeah, no, totally.
Parents have been doing it for years. We're just putting a new word on it.
Yeah. But I feel like all the like content I see is like around like how difficult and trying it is, or like how creative people have to get around like formulating consequences that like make sense for where your child is developmentally. And
it's not hard.
Okay.
Well, I don't know.
It really is hard.
You're gonna have to teach me some ways.
It's not hard.
Some days are easy. Other days I'm like, whew.
And that's when you walk away.
I could really beat you right now. I'm not going to. But my
when you
spirit
walk
is saying.
The easiest thing would be to do right now.
Yeah.
But I've had moments like one of these, and I've told my daughter, "Get out my face." Like you gotta go. You got to go. It's not going to go well. And she has my personality. I mean, we're very similar. So I've had to be like, you got to go.
Yeah.
You take your time, I take my time, and then we'll come back together. But right now, it's not going to be good.
Oh, that's real. I feel like in my mind, like my goal is to not get to that point. So that's what I'm thinking when people are like, oh, I have an easy time with gentle parenting, that's what they're doing.
No.
Okay.
Still gonna do that.
Your kids for sure will know where those buttons are and will be like,
Yeah.
no, you will. there's no escape, and you're the parent, right?
Okay.
So you're like in their face all the time. No.
But mine at 4, I know he doesn't know what he's doing. Is like pushing a button,
Just kidding.
but it's also just like you that last nerve you are
You're on it.
tap dancing on it.
And then that's when you just walk away. Like seriously, you have to walk away.
Yeah. Mhm.
Right. Because to your point, you know that they
Oh, Lord.
don't fully know what they're doing.
Yeah.
They-
That's what I explained to my mom. Like, if for someone that is already trying to learn to regulate their emotions, doesn't really know what's happening. Again, he's 4, so he's still learning what that means when he's upset, how to appropriately display that anger. Me beating him is not teaching him that. That's me. That to me, that's saying if I get mad, I should put my hands on someone, and I don't want to teach him that when he's already upset.
Right.
Mhm.
And so once I told that to her, she was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Like,
Right.
yeah, like, and you. No, I'm playing.
But you tell your kids not to hit, right?
Right. And
Yeah.
so if I'm
So
gonna
you
hit
hit
you.
them.
Yeah.
What are you really teaching them?
Right.
And that's how I
Right.
had explained to my mom.
Mm-hmm. So back to the meme really quickly. Do you feel, because this was a quite a long conversation in our group chat. I guess we can get into
Spicy.
it. Do you think that parents are absolved when their actions affect their kids in the future?
Say a little more.
Absolved.
So I personally feel
Googles.
that while we do as an individual have to take responsibility for how we are, right? You have to take responsibility for your actions and how you currently are as an adult.
Mhm.
I do feel like parents have to take some responsibility for how their actions have affected their kids in the long run.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Like for me, if you're cursing out your child every single day
Mm.
and then your child goes to school and curses out their teacher, where'd they get it from?
But what if it's like less, like the magnitude isn't as high
Like
as that?
what?
Like what if it's like
Like the example?
Sure.
Like how, I
In the
guess,
meme.
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean like, but like what might have manifested that, right? So like maybe it's like it's silent treatment when they're angry, or it's like you might come home and it's like I don't know what kind of mood my parent is going to be in, and if I'm
Right.
going to like walk into like
Or
anger
extra.
or like, but you know what I mean, like
Passive
like
aggressive.
things like that.
something.
I don't think like those things are things that parents always recognize as being like harmful displays of emotion, and so it's like, oh, I didn't beat you and I didn't cuss at you. Like, what are you upset about? So like those like more nuanced kind of behaviors.
I'm gonna say emotional abuse is just as bad as physical. It really is. And I
Mhm.
mean, as a parent, it's okay to express your emotions to your child. If you're having a bad day, it's okay to say, I'm having a bad day. You don't have to go into details about what your bad day was about, but you can say, Mommy's not doing too good right now. And that's okay. But walking around giving your child the silent treatment, no. You
Mhm.
need to communicate with your child on a developmentally appropriate level.
Sure.
Mm.
Mhm.
Say
think
that again for the
too,
people in the back.
when we are talking about our current generation reconciling our behavior based upon what our parents have done in the past, and these are individuals who may not have been, like we've talked before, my parents put me in therapy, but there was no desire for them to be in therapy. It was like, you need to figure this out, versus it being a
You're the problem.
right. Versus a we need to do this together, right? And so when I think about what is in that meme, what I am hearing is somebody who is reconciling what they have developed as a learned behavior, and then realizing it is because of what they've experienced with their parents, and wanting to then try to figure out how to navigate it. You know, the silent treatment may have been because of them being stressed, or, you know, there was a divorce that happened and some people on one side might have been doing something that the other, you know, the child doesn't know about. And so then you don't see a father, like all these things that people may not really want to reconcile even in your adulthood. So then you're like, okay, I'm this way. I don't even know. I think this current generation is working through gentle parenting with themselves before they can even do with their kids, is what I'm seeing, which is very different than, my point is, it's very different than what we've seen in previous generations.
Right.
And so I think our kids will benefit in a way we weren't able to benefit. And I don't know that there's any, I don't know how you point fingers when They're just not. They're just not prepared.
Yeah.
In
So
the way
whose
that we
fault
are.
is it? That's what we want to know.
Right, but I don't know how you blame. I don't know.
Can it be a combination? Can
It
it be like
can,
your
maybe.
No,
environment?
is this or that? No, but
I hate you.
But I think it's also it's important to acknowledge the piece that you mentioned, which is having conversation and communicating with your child on I'm gonna butcher this because
appropriate way.
yes, because a lot of times
not those going to be the words you were going to butcher.
Yeah, well, because it's putting it together, and sometimes whatever. But anyway, it's being appropriate when you communicate with your child, because when you have conversation with them, and sometimes you give them maybe too much,
Mm-hmm.
and when you give them too much, and then now they know too much, or they experience too much for the age range that they are. And then now you're wondering why they have been exposed to too much at a certain age, or whatever have you, or they're growing up too fast. Or what? I mean,
Why they're so mature for their age. I feel like that's also
Parentified.
a thing that happens
Right.
when we're just like, oh, you're so mature, and it's like given a badge of honor, but really it's like, are you supposed to be?
Right.
We're not. You're really not.
Or like the whole concept of I mean, and this can go both ways, of being in grown folks' business, but you also gave them an inside window to grown folks' business when you maybe had a bad day, but then you went into why you didn't had a bad day. They daddy ain't this, or whatever.
Right.
Mama didn't done this, or whatever have you. And sometimes you need to scale back and then give them what's appropriate for them. So in that way, they can also process it too. Because I think that's sometimes forgotten, that they have to also process the information that they're given.
Yeah.
So what's the line? How we find the line? Is there a book?
Well,
No, know your child.
Wait,
you gotta know your
write
child.
it. So it should be fun.
parenting is different every day.
Yeah.
What worked today may not work tomorrow.
Good job.
Mhm.
And it's the truth.
It is.
Like,
That was-
seriously.
That was a
And-
bar, but a sad bar.
It's the truth. 'Cause
And we have different kids. So
Yes.
you parent your kids differently or the same?
Ooh.
I would
Go home and
say,
ask him. Call him right now.
But it's funny because we've had conversations about how do we parent, and we had one last night, and then we had one when Jayla was gone, and we just said, "How does it feel to grow up with parents like us?" And she was like, "What are you talking about?" But I think I parent the same, but my relationship with my children is different.
I want to dig into that so bad.
Yeah. What does that mean?
So for me and Jayla, we have that mother-daughter connection. She's really touchy-feely. She's always in my face. And we have things that we can laugh at. Like there's things that we just get because we have similar interests.
Mm-hmm.
EJ, on the other hand, he's more reserved. He comes to you when he needs you. And that's something that me and Irvin had to learn. We can't be all in his face because that's not what he wants. We still have a great relationship with him, but it's on his turn. And we're okay with that. Jayla is just, I'm going to come in your space. She's going to come into my space.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like with the both, we have great relationships, but they're just different.
Okay, so do you feel like you're a friend to your kids?
I will be.
Okay. And can say more about that.
That's good.
Come on.
Right
now.
now, I am mom. And
Okay.
I have said I'm not one of your little friends.
Uh-huh.
I have. I have.
Staple
But
on
I
the black
feel
eye.
like for right now,
Yeah.
I'm that mother figure. I am the adult in the house. My job is to make sure that you're safe
Mhm.
and you have everything that you need. Yes, you can come to me and talk to me about anything, but there's a line.
Okay.
So,
Oh.
no, go ahead.
So we saw a meme the other day that was talking about like, it was like someone was like, your parents, you're like, get out of my face. I can't stand you. And then it was like, you can talk to me about anything. Don't you know that? Like, why don't you? And I think we've had previous conversations about how like sometimes parents will like have that, like, I'm not your friend energy your whole life. And then when you're an adult, they're like, why aren't we friends? It's like, well, you kept telling me we weren't. So like, how do you build that, like for it to be a safe transition?
Just
Like,
having open communication, like from the beginning, when they are learning their first couple of words, just saying, if there's anything that you want to talk about, you can come to me. And I've asked my children, do you want the real answer?
ooh.
Because mommy's going to tell you, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but be careful what you ask because I'm going to tell you the real answer.
So
because
is the real answer the mom or the friend?
it's both.
Okay.
I'm going to say both.
So if they say no, what is that?
then they really don't want to have a conversation.
So you want to vent. You don't want advice right now. You want to vent.
You want to vent, and I can be the person to just sit and listen and nod my head and
Okay, so even if you're like, I want to steer you from making a bad decision or whatever, you're just like, if right now you need to vent, you just let them vent and that's it.
Just vent.
Do you circle back later and be like,
I do.
Okay.
I do. That's a counselor in me. We're going to have to process this, and I'm going to have to give you some guidance because that's my role. But if you just want to vent right now, I'm going to let you vent.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
Even just like that, like grace of being able to choose that nuance is powerful.
Yeah.
Because I want them to know you can talk about anything. And we've had some conversations.
Okay, I was going to say, and do they?
God.
Okay.
They do. And we have them like during dinner time.
Oh, wow.
So both of you.
Dinner.
So you feel comfortable to talk to both you and your husband?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But
Is it respectful? Is it like, Ma, someone had me fucked up today?
so we don't curse in my house.
Oh, okay.
We don't curse in my house. I know they curse. I've seen their text messages. Yes, I've gone through phones. But we don't curse in my house. You can say what you want to say, but you're still going to be respectful.
Okay.
And Jayla always, I got tea. And it's not, do you want to hear it? I'm going to tell you. Here we go.
It's hot and I'm sharing it.
So sometimes I just have to listen. But then sometimes I'm like, okay, so now I'm going to ask you some questions. What role did you play in this? Like, I still need to be a parent. But no, I feel like it's not a hard transition.
Man, you ask good questions. Because even what role do you play in this is
because
a nuanced question that doesn't get asked that often.
But I need to know, do I need to be mama bear?
Sure.
Ride or die for my child?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do in this moment? I need to know what you did so I can back you up. Whether you're right or wrong, I just need to know.
Yeah.
Do I need to be a teenager today and come rock with some kids?
What do you need?
Not Nicole going to high school with her knife.
Look here.
And
Don't play with mine.
Today.
Don't play with mine. I don't care.
I
It
feel
ain't
like
come
it's
from
an
me
easy
or
transition.
not.
I do. As long as you start it from the beginning. I mean, you can't start when they're 14 because they're looking at you like, who are you? But if you have that time in from the beginning,
For sure.
I think it's a good transition.
And they understand that they want to be heard. I think that's another thing too. A lot of times,
And can be.
right? Like I think a lot of times it is, okay, I'm providing for you. I want to make sure you're okay. And you do get burnout for sure. But then it's like, well, come on. And you got to find a moment. When you said the dinner time, I work with kids. So working with them and then working with their parents, I'm like, there has to be that dedicated time. If you're not finding it, it doesn't have to be at the dinner table, but if you aren't finding that time to be able to do that, then they aren't gonna know that you even want to engage on that level. They're gonna be fighting for it throughout the day, but they're never gonna know that you want that. So when they get to be adults or young adults or even teenagers, when you really need to be able to hear their voice, you're not gonna hear that because they don't know that
You
that's
didn't build that relationship.
Yeah, that's even part of the relationship. Yeah.
And that's something I took from my mom. She may not know that, but dinner time was huge. We always had dinner together, no matter what, at the table, not in the living room, not in front of the TV. And that's just something I've carried with me. She may not know, but that's that piece that I'm taking from her.
I love that.
So how often, I know you said you asked Jayla recently, like how was it having parents like you? How often do you check in with them to see, like, I guess your grade for how you're doing?
It's random.
Okay.
It's never like, okay, we're at our 2-week mark. It's just random. Like me and Urban may be having a conversation and it's just like, hey, so how is everything going? How are we doing as parents? Is there anything you would change? Would you want different parents? And I mean, we've had those conversations, but for me and Urban, it's like, all right, whatever answer we give, we got to be okay with that.
Okay, I was going to ask, how's it to
and
like
have you
receive
shifted
that
something
feedback?
that they told you?
I think at one moment when Jayla was like, when was the last time I heard I love you? And this was during COVID. And I mean, it was something that we said every night before bed. But during COVID, everybody was kind of in their own bubble. And I looked like, what? Like I said it to you. And she was like, when? And I mean, I had that moment like, ooh, this is a gut check. Because in my mind, I was saying it all the time.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, I can tell you the last time you said it.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was a shifting moment for me. And I mean, it was real. I was like, oh gosh, I'm thinking I'm doing great. And she was just like,
actually,
that would make you
improvement. She gave you a tighten up look.
That needs improvement.
She did.
She said tighten up.
She did. I mean, it was really like, oh gosh. Because we thought, we were saying it all the time. They always heard it. But during COVID, so many things changed. And I'm like, I see you every day. Like and she was just like,
ooh, that's real. That's the kind of feedback that makes you go sit on the side of the bed in silence. Like,
sit on the bed like New York.
right.
Contemplating your
I had to walk away and just take it like,
yeah.
mm.
But now I'm gonna be OD. I feel like if you say that to me one time, now I'm gonna tell
That's
before I open my mouth, I love you. So how are you? I love you. What do you want for breakfast? I love you. Did you take a shower?
That is so
I love you. Did you wash your hands?
Now you're being petty about your life.
No, now I need you to know how much
you need them to know.
Yes, now I gotta say it all the time.
And as a mom, you're like, this may be the last time I see you. And I know that's dark.
Yeah, I know, but for
that
real.
is true.
With them leaving your house, you just
Yeah.
never know.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel the same way. I do that too. Like
Me
when
too.
people leave the house, I'm like, I love you. And if somebody, I'm like, you don't know what's going to happen when you leave the threshold of this door,
Yes.
especially these days. Like, make sure you say it back.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Same.
But you
I
have to
don't
be
know.
okay with them not saying it back too.
Huh?
What do you mean you don't
have to be okay
When it comes to your child, depending on their mood.
Yeah.
No, you can say that moody.
Yeah,
You can say that moody, but you say it back.
no.
Oh no, yeah, I will sit there. I will sit here until you
Look
say
here.
it back.
I may not have no biological kids.
I'm not okay with it.
But them kids.
That's something I had to tell my parents. Like, so if they don't say it back, then what? Are you going to get into
Oh,
an
they say
argument
it to
about
them.
it?
But I'm saying to me,
We're going to sit here until you
as
say
their
it.
mama, you guys say it to me. Other people, I don't care. But me, you saying it to me.
Wait, but
No.
is that not part of like emotions are fleeting? Like I can be mad and still love you.
And that's what I say. I don't have to like you in this moment, but
Oh, see, that's triggering for me. I don't like that.
I don't
That's not
like
like
you.
me.
but I love you. I'm not liking your actions.
Can I ask this question? Can I ask this question? Is it the same thing? Is it the same thing as I don't like what you're doing, but I love you?
That's better.
I don't like your actions.
Okay, that's different from I don't like you. You act like they're the same. They're not the same.
I don't like your actions.
But if they don't know how to process
Your
that,
actions.
Okay,
But if they-
that's fine.
but if they don't know, so I used to get that every day going into work. One of the kids would say that in the morning when I first got there.
They said,
No,
I don't like you.
I understand that.
So
Okay, and let me clarify because
Okay.
I also understand it's different coming from children and they don't belong to you. So like there is that nuance. I don't like from a parent. I think that's
I would
harmful.
never say that.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, that's
Never.
all right.
Okay. No.
That's trauma.
Hello.
Okay.
And you won't have to work through that. Trigger. Dial it back.
Clean it up. Okay, I do want to go back a little bit to something that we were talking about regarding.
Wait, Saya had a whole conversation. Did you
Oh,
want to
sorry.
finish about the children that hate you?
Yeah, thanks.
Did you say I like you back anyway?
Not me.
Huh?
Did you say I like you back?
Oh, no, I said I love you.
That's not what
I
you
understand you
said.
don't like me in this moment,
Oh,
and that's fine. But I still love you. That doesn't change anything because later on it would be a conversation of, they'd say it again, and then they'd say, "Oh, you don't love me," and I'm like, "No, remember we discussed this.
No,
you may
you
not
love
like
me.
me, but I love you." And so you could tell that was very much her processing what was going on. She didn't like that I was coming because when I came, I was a
Rules.
disciplinarian, right? I'm the one who the television has to go off because I've been told that the television has to go off. I've been told you cannot have tablet. She's equated now at this point, you are evil because everything,
The devil.
right, themselves has walked in the door. And so, yeah, I would get that as soon as I walk in the door. I don't like it. Okay, well,
Good
I love
morning.
you. Right. Good morning to you as well. And I love you. And what do you want for breakfast? Like, just like you have to move through the moment. But yeah, for sure, it's not that it doesn't sting, but you're just like, okay, let's hope we can get to some language that changes this at some point because
Yeah, because when did we fight?
yeah, the first time you're definitely like, okay, I know you don't have the language for this, so I'm not going to
But
respond.
you got language. You got language.
You got enough, but not enough.
Because every day, this is why I only have my child. You don't say that to me every single day. The moment I walk into the door, I'm like, we gonna have to sit down and have a conversation. And then me and your mama gotta sit down and have a conversation too. Because what are you telling her that she don't like me every single day?
What have you told her?
Why am I the enemy?
What are you telling your child?
Yes.
You know what the difference is that it's not that they're not telling her anything. It's that with them, they get as much TV and tablet as they want because they don't want to interact. so I'm the bad guy every day.
Perfecto. Yes, I am the bad guy. As soon as I walk in the door. Yeah,
that's brutal.
I don't like it. Go ahead. Yeah,
I don't like it either. Okay, so I wanted to circle back a little bit because you were talking about like vulnerabilities in like how that is like a core need in order to create relationship that can transpire into friendship in adulthood. And I feel like, I think we brought this up on a previous podcast where we were talking about like generationally, like I don't really have like memories of moments where my parents were vulnerable with me. Like I feel like there are a lot of times where they like tell me about things of their past, but it's a lot of wins. You know what I mean? It's not a lot of L's. It's not a lot of embarrassment. It's not a lot of lessons learned. So like I just like wonder, like I feel like we're going to be different generationally, maybe it is a forcing function because you know some of our embarrassment is on social media already, so it's unavoidable.
We are just stay in it.
But I just want to like, how do you approach that, like with your kids and building that aspect of your relationship?
I don't think my mom was ever vulnerable. She wasn't. She was that strong mama who held it down all the time. And I'm quite sure she had her moments, but did I see them? No. Have my children seen mine? Absolutely. Like mommy is human just like everyone else. I cry, I laugh. Like I have those kind of emotions. And for me, if I can show them, then my children can express them. And like, I need my children to be able to regulate their emotions, whatever they're feeling. But if they don't have an example, how are they going to do it? So I've been vulnerable plenty of times. They probably see me at my worst during COVID.
Real.
And I mean,
it's interesting. I just had this conversation with Tisha and Trina from church, in the church parking lot, all things. But I said that's the one thing too that
not of all things. Y'all be parking lot pimping after church all the time.
Yeah, but about kids, and only one of us had them in that circle. So yeah, it was interesting to say the least. But to Natalie's point, it makes me think about how a lot of kids, I think, in this current generation, like that are kind of starting to be adults, so maybe like their late 20s, are reconciling that vulnerability conversation too. Because I hear a lot of, even some of our range that haven't really been able to fully know how to step into their fears, step into their like that next part of life. So you hear people talk about, oh, well, my child just doesn't have any get up and go or doesn't have all these. And I was like, the conversation we had, I was like, I think a lot of times what parents fail to realize is that there needs to be that conversation of vulnerability so that the kids understand that they've gone through those same things. Not only seeing the wins, but also seeing the L's, like, or at least a full acknowledgement of the L's and what they did in the L's. Like you're seeing currently all my wins, but I want to show you or talk to you about what the L's look like so that you don't, because it feels like there's like fear, maybe Natalie can speak to this, but it feels like there's a lot of fear going on a lot with our kids now. And it's fear out of like the unknowns and fears of how to encounter life. Life just feels like overwhelming now. And I think that that's because the vulnerability is like a hard thing for a lot of parents to talk about as far as like, oh, I didn't succeed here. And I'm not saying like right now I need to talk about how I can't pay these bills. Not that conversation, but more so of like, I didn't know what I was doing either. And, you know, I had some L's, but, you know, I just did this and tried some different stuff and this happened versus just saying, well, you know, as long as you get the grades, go out there, you'll be fine. That's not how life works, right? You have to share.
Or at least not anymore.
Right.
I didn't get this job.
Right.
I didn't get into this club.
Right.
Like, it happens.
Right. And I don't think that those are the conversations that are really being had. So a lot of kids feel pressure. Oh, I've done well in school, so that should mean that it's going to happen with life. And it does. It's not a transition that you're in full control over, right?
Sure.
So the unknowns become scary. And so the conversations are necessary, but probably hard for parents to have to know where that line is. So I guess that would be kind of my question too, with like the vulnerabilities. When do you start that, like in high school? Because it feels like, or even before that? Elementary? Okay.
They're a failure.
Okay.
I don't want to try this sport. Well, why not? You can start there. Okay, you may not be good at soccer, but are you good at gymnastics? Like, You have to try it before you knock it.
Right.
And not being good doesn't mean you can't be.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, it starts way before.
Okay. I think I don't know. My generation was like, well, you're going to go out there and at least do it. And not talking about the back end of like, why don't you want to try? Okay, it was really hard today. Do you think it would be better tomorrow? It was just one of those things. If you don't like it, well, look, we done paid for
You still
it.
gonna do it.
You still gonna do it to the end of this little thing, and then you move on to the next thing. But it wasn't really about like how do you step into that fear, that uncertainty, or just walking through when you're not the best, but still being able to like be okay with walking through that. Those
okay to
conversations
fail.
aren't really being
Yeah.
had.
Mhm.
This is interesting for me because I feel like I had a lot of those conversations with my parents, but strictly about sport. Like, it almost feels like that's where it stopped. And like, it was easy to be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I feel like it's like bad for me and my mental health right now. Like, I'm like, I wasn't saying mental health then. So who knows what I was saying. But I was probably just like, I really hate it and
Right.
it sucks and it's not fun. And I don't feel like I'm accomplishing what I want to accomplish. And it was like a lot of like, just like give it one more year. You grow every time, even though you may not be like where you want to be. Like that doesn't mean like you're failing. But I don't feel like we had a lot of those conversations around like, well, I feel like it wasn't allowed to happen around academics, really. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
There's no space.
why are you getting an A in Spanish and a B in English?
Right.
Well, I'm not writing essays in Spanish. Part of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's interesting, like where there is like that language and intent, but only in like certain facets of,
That's true too.
your development.
Parents probably their own strengths, right? Like
Sure.
it's one of these things of I was really good at this sport and the things you can control, right? I was really good at being able to play a sport. All right. And I know what it's like to have succeeded and got on to the next level and the next level. Whereas, I don't know, at work or your job, you don't really have full control of it until you get into that space. And even then there's no guarantees.
Yeah.
So like trying to explain that it's probably difficult for a parent to figure out like how do you piece that into small enough segments for a elementary school child.
Sure.
That doesn't translate is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, sorry, were you about to say something?
But
I think that there's also an aspect where like in the difference between like our parents' generation and our generation, like the economic landscape has changed so much. And I know that we talked about this recently. We were talking about like, why do I feel like I'm not an adult yet? Like I feel like our parents like got handed like this like book and they all pull from it. They all like have the same kind of general knowledge about things where they don't have to call their parents to ask, hey, how do I fix this shit? You know what I mean? They just know how to do it. And it's just like, when do we get that? Like when does it get bestowed upon us?
Downloaded.
Yeah. And I feel like from the other like aspect, it's probably hard to like give us advice sometimes because shit is so different.
Right.
Like I like, being able to like stay in a career and buy a house and like do all these things was much more palatable back then than it is now. Like when we were buying our house, I was like, I showed my parents the listing and I was like, hey, like, what do you think about this? Like, blah, blah, blah. And I was getting like a lot of, like advice and like things to look out for my mom, which was really helpful. But I wasn't like hearing that much from my dad. So I like called him and I was like, hey, you haven't told me that this is a good idea. So, do I move this money from my bank account or not? Like, what's going on? Yeah, like, why aren't you saying anything? This is stupid? Just tell me. And he's like, no, I just feel bad that this is the market that you have to do this in. He's like, it's smart. He's like, you should go for it. But I just feel bad for you guys that the market is where it is for like what you're getting. And I was like, oh, okay, me too.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. All right, just want to make sure.
Appreciate that, buddy.
Yeah. So like, I feel like in terms of like giving grace and like, I feel like there is at least like that piece where it's just like there's what they grew up in and what we're growing up in are two different worlds.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Different.
And then for you too, because your kids are teenagers, we didn't have social media and all that stuff growing up. So how are you navigating, like, because that's different for you. So how are you navigating that with your kids and like how they're growing up is completely different than how you grew up?
Yeah. Talk about going through phones too.
So we have random phone checks. They don't know when they are.
Oh, but they know they happen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's give me your phone.
Wow. Okay.
Fingerprint, because one of us should have access. I should know your password or it should be face recognition. I need to be able to get on at any point. and we'll just scroll through. Social media, we're friends. Even on the spam account.
Even the Finsta?
Okay.
And Jayla has gotten in trouble because she had Instagram. She had Snapchat without permission. But one of our random phone checks, it was like, oh, what's this? So it was like, okay, now we need some consequences. But for her, I'm friends on certain accounts. Irvin is friends on certain accounts. And we monitor it. And then we have family members who can see what she's doing. So we always see what's happening.
But she knows that you guys are there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys didn't like make up an account like 15-year-old.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, do we ghost our kids' accounts? Like, what do we do?
No ghost
Ghost
accounts.
your phone. Okay.
It's mommy. And some of her friends know it's mommy. They're like, oh, your mom is commenting.
I love that.
Thought you were in school.
Mama's like, why are you on your phone right now? Even at work, like, shouldn't you be working right now? Like, how are you liking this? How are you sending me this post? But for us, it's, if we can't be friends on your accounts, then you can't have them.
When you found like the ghost accounts where,
She got in trouble.
Okay.
She
But was
really-
it like,
What's in trouble? Like take your phone?
Yeah,
Or
she lost her phone privilege.
okay.
but it was also, and you don't have to answer this. I'm not trying to be in y'all's business,
Go for it.
but I'm also wondering, like, if it's like a ghost account, is the content different? Like, is that the intention of it? So is it like
Oh, yeah.
also, was it surprising?
You know what
to
a
you?
Finsta is.
No, I know. No, but I just like, but I also like, I'm thinking your kid has a Finsta and it's the worst shit possible. That doesn't make it true. So that's what I'm asking. Like, how, like, what is that spectrum like? And was it surprising to you or like?
It wasn't surprising because we know our child.
Okay.
But it's just like, really, this is what you're putting out on social media.
Okay.
And for us, it's, you want to get into college. You want to get a good job. Should you really be posting this?
Right.
And we've had her take stuff down. Like, I don't care if this is your spam account or not. You can't just be posting everything. Do it on your video journal, whatever you have on your computer. But everything doesn't need to go on social media. So, yeah.
Do you, I know there's also like monitoring apps that parents can have. So yours is just like, give me your phone.
Give me your phone. Let's go through it. And then, I mean, we have our stalker app, Life 360, so we can know where she is at all times. But all that other stuff, no, I'm not that tech savvy.
Okay.
So that's just a waste of my time. Just let me see what you got going on. And EJ really doesn't post. Like, he'll like stuff, but he probably has like 3 pictures posted. And that's it. But Jayla has her whole life on social media. So, yeah.
And then she's about to go to college.
Yeah.
So are you having different conversations with her than your mom had with you when you left?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a first generation college student too.
Okay.
So there weren't really many conversations except for don't go to Walmart at 2:00 in the morning, which I did.
Same.
Wait, what? Why not? It was 2 a.m.
It's 2 a.m. It's not
Ain't nothing
safe.
open but legs.
Right.
Not at Walmart.
Look.
But you going to get into Walmart at 2 o'clock in the morning.
You got it.
What's in your grocery basket at Walmart at 2
Not
o'clock in
trying
the
to block
morning?
your blessing.
I'm just saying.
But my mom didn't really have those conversations with. I mean, my mom didn't talk to me about sex. Like, let's be real.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm going to go all the way back, I didn't have those kind of conversations with my mom. I didn't. But with Jayla and EJ, we had those conversations because I want them to know.
When do you start those conversations?
Oh, we started that when FLE started in elementary school. Because I can't have somebody teaching my child that's something that's not true. Like, if you're going to talk about sperms and eggs and deodorant and lotion and all the other stuff.
Deodorant.
Don't you look, you're not using a water-based lotion. That's false. And I'm telling you, because I just learned that this month, okay?
Oh, look at you.
There you go.
Use something with some oil in it. You got color. See?
That took you 30
But the
seconds.
conversations are early because if not, their friends are going to teach them. Like Jayla's friend in first grade was like, yeah, I know what parents do on Valentine's Day. And I was like, what?
Well, what do they do, sis?
She went into full detail. They have sex and this is what it sounds like. I was like,
This is what it sounds like.
Why am I traumatized?
Not the sound of lovemaking.
So we had to have a conversation right then and there. Were we ready for it? No, but we had to have it.
Wow. Man, the first time I asked my dad what sex was, he said, it's whether you're a male or a female.
But the answer was true.
He did not lie.
See, I mean, the conversations are different. And I mean, going to college is a whole different ball game. A whole different ball game. It's scary.
It
Yeah.
is very
absolutely
scary.
It just made my pressure go up.
It's
I ain't lying.
scary.
Just
It
thinking
did.
about it.
I'm
I'm
stressed
really
when I got
MS this
kids.
year. I'm already there, but just this whole year, I know like I'm preparing her to go away.
Yeah.
She will be an adult on her own.
So what is that? So what is your like preparation conversations having? Like, what is your Friday night at the dinner table looking like the year before college?
You getting in an Uber? Okay, let's take a picture of the license plate. Where are you sitting? Is the door locked? Is it unlocked? I mean, it's just simple stuff like that. Where are you walking to? Who are you with?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's not your friend.
You got your blade on you or no?
Also, I've been taking a screenshot of the Lyft driver and the license plate and the route and all that and sending it to someone safe also, just as an additional potential one. Because sometimes, when you go back and you can't find stuff.
Yeah.
Gotta be safe. But I mean, it's just whatever she asks, I have an answer. And if I don't,
do you have like a checklist of like all the things I need to prepare her for before she leaves?
It's all random.
Okay.
It's all random.
Whatever comes
up, that's what we talk about.
How do you talk about consent? And do you talk about it differently with Jayla than you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm raising a little black boy.
Right.
And for me, like my heart is beating. It's more scarier for EJ than it is for Jayla.
Mm.
And I really can't say why, but it like right now in my body,
like you're more scared for him than you are her.
I am.
Okay.
I absolutely.
That's so interesting.
I am. It's
makes
just
sense.
It's something about my little black boy going out into the world.
Makes me nervous.
It's scary.
Do you talk to them about consent together?
Yes. And it's somebody says no, that's it.
Yeah.
You're out. Like there's no trying to, but please, no, you're done.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more going forward. It's a wrap because after that, it can go left real quick.
Yeah.
And we probably have more conversations about consent with EJ than we do with Jayla.
Can you, I mean, I guess you already said why, but can you talk about like how you talk about it with Jayla?
It's don't let anyone pressure you. If this is not what you want to do, then don't do it. And make sure you use a condom.
Mm.
I feel
We're
like
going to tell you how to use one too. We're going to practice. My mama never did that with me.
I don't know if my face just went white.
Yes.
We're going to get that banana and we're going to practice. I didn't learn that until I went to Spelman. We had like a sex ed class and they were like, oh no, women, you need to learn how to put on a condom as well. We were like, what?
Yeah. What about birth control?
We've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to force her, but if this is something that you feel like you want for your body, I'm with you.
Because it takes a toll.
Right.
For some, not all.
That's another thing. I don't know if I remember having the conversation, not with my mom. Actually, my mom solicited her best friend to have the conversation with me, like the sex talk before college. She's the one that took me to go get birth control and all that kind of stuff. But I don't remember hearing so much of like how birth control affects your body. More so just like, do you want to have kids? No? Okay, let's take this pill. And then
are you having issues with your period? Then take this pill.
Yeah.
But but none of that came up. I just feel like it was, for me at least, it was just, do you want to get pregnant?
I think it's also like the same concept of like a doctor. It's like you have high blood pressure, take this pill. You have diabetes, take this medication. It's like you have the problem. Here's what you take this in, but they don't ever talk about what the side effects are. And I
Quality
think
of
that
life.
right. And I think if more people talked about what the side effects are, it's like when you listen to those commercials about those medications,
you're going to
it's
die.
like, and then it
You're gonna
very
die.
quickly does it may also cause and death. And they're like, did it just
But also prescribe me the pill, sis. Like,
But it's also misleading
YOLO.
with birth control because a lot of the symptoms that they do go through, besides like blood clots, whichever one was doing that, a lot of the symptoms are like PMSing anyways.
Yes.
So like you're also thinking like, oh, well, I'm already dealing with half of it.
Yep.
So it can't be that much different.
Well,
and it is.
To that point, when I first got on birth control, the lady that was giving them to me, she was like, I just want you to know that this may cause an influx in your mood. I'm like, I'm already a bitch. Just give me the pills.
she was like, okay.
So
Maybe
when
I should give you another one.
A few years later, I was like, why does my body feel like literally it was throwing me off? My cycle was off. I took myself off of them and I did not continue them ever again after that.
Yeah. My first birth control put me into depression and I had no idea what was going on. I just was like, why am I crying all the time? And why can't I control my emotions?
Yeah.
Like when people would be like, do you want to do this? And I'd be like, no, I don't really want to do it. Streaming tears. And be like, we don't have to do it. And I'm like, I know. I'm not even this sad. I don't know what's happening.
Jesus. Lord.
Okay, so back to parenting really quick.
Can I ask a question with regards to talking about sending her to college, but I also think about how social media plays into people's self-esteem as you're trying. Like, this is, I think, the thing that, as part of the children's church ministry, we all have been a part of. Like, social media has definitely had an uptick in how it has been affecting the younger kids, self-esteem in general. Since you now know your kids are on social media and you're navigating them utilizing it, how has your conversation had to change with regards to combating like that dip in self-esteem, especially as she's about to head into college and you're not going to be that protective bubble anymore?
That's a great question.
It's not real. That's what I have to tell you.
Okay.
It's not all real. And even if it is real, you don't have to have what they have. You don't have to look that way. Like, be you. And I know it's a tough conversation with her because she wants to fit in, but then she also wants to be different. But if your parents ain't living that lifestyle, then you're not going to have half of the stuff that they have. Do you be you and be okay with that? But I think it's going to take her being on her own. To really find who she is. Like, I didn't become who I am until I went to Spelman. And that's the truth. Like, that's when I became comfortable with who I really was. She's going to need that.
Yeah. Okay. There's also just like, and it sounds overly simplistic, but when I find myself envying people too often, I just unfollow them. Like, I'm coveting your life too much.
That's it.
And then I forget they exist. And I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't wanted that stuff in a long time.
No longer seeing it every single day.
Right.
So when you were doing your parenting classes, what was the number one issue, do you think, that came up a lot?
In my African-American classes or in my general class?
Ooh. Both of them are different.
So in the African-American class, discipline. I was raised this way. This is what I'm going to do. This is all I know. And this is what works. And there was no budging from that.
Oh.
I mean, it was no budging. And it took us 12 to 13 weeks to change some mind frames. Like, you don't have to beat your child. Like, you don't. Yes, I do, because they're not going to listen. But for us, it was straight up discipline. But then when you broke it down, it was more so generational trauma, breaking some of those cycles. In our general classes, it was, but they're not listening to me. They won't talk to me.
You're not beaten. Oh,
Just kidding. Just kidding. That's what it was. It was more so communication in our general classes, but in our African-American classes, it was discipline.
So how do you teaching like, I guess fear versus respect with your kids?
And what's that line?
I don't want my children to fear me.
At all? Sorry.
For me, it's more respect. More respect. Like, I am your mama. Like, that's it. You don't have to be scared of me. Just respect me. Because you know I'm going to do what's in your best interest. But just know your mama doesn't play either. But I don't think that's fear. When I think of fear, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm walking on eggshells.
I appreciate the Debo effect when I walk in the room.
Like, just respect me. Like, cause
okay, this is interesting because we saw a reel this week that was someone was talking about the difference between obedience and respect.
I don't want you to be obedient.
Okay, but sometimes
your children
obedient, like follow everything I say, don't question anything.
Well, does it mean don't question, or does it mean
See, for me, you're following me blindly. When I think of obedience, I think of like law, like strict law.
I don't even follow like the speed limit.
And I don't either.
Okay, but that's not.
Yeah.
So that means you don't respect this speed limit sign. But like in terms of like, if I'm your parent and you respect me and I told you to do X and you don't, then does that feel disrespectful to you, or does that feel disobedient? Like, what is?
It depends
what's
on
that
what
nuance?
What am I telling you to do? Are you allowed to question it? Or
I don't think
chores.
No. I don't think that.
You don't do your chores.
See,
like I'm scared. I'm just throwing something out there. Like what is it?
Non-negotiable.
But I don't mean like that. Like, I mean, to me, questioning things, I want to understand. I'm a why person. I always have been, always will be. If you explain why to me and that resonates with me, I don't have a problem doing what you asked. But if I can't follow the logic and you just ask me to do it just to do it, I'm going to ask you about it. And sometimes I used to get in trouble for that all the time and be like, you're being disrespectful. And I'm like, am I?
But am I?
Yeah. So that's where this question is centered.
Gotcha.
Like,
Okay.
is it based in the fact that I am not, and not everything's a battle. Like chores, okay. Like I get why those things have to be done. I guess a good example, well, it's not a good example because I had to be obedient to it. I used to not understand why I couldn't sleep over at certain people's houses. So I used to have questions and I wouldn't get like answers. In adulthood, I got answers as to why. And like maybe there is that like emotional development, age appropriate, like nuanced things that I just couldn't understand. But it was because I said so. It was never even like attempted to be explained. So that made it really hard to like
Respect
not be, it made it really hard to respect it. It made it really hard to like be like, oh, okay, that's fine. No, I was pissed about it. And even if I understood why, maybe I would still be pissed about it.
Right.
But I also like, I don't know, to me, there is also like this lens of like conversation now that's happening that's like, we need to respect our children. And to me, because I said so is not something that you say. Yeah, it's not like, you don't talk to adults like that. So
You're not an adult. That's what my parents would say.
So yeah, I don't know that any of this answered your question about the nuance between obedience and respect, but like I don't know what it is because I'm not a parent.
I feel like for me, it's more respect. Like when I think of obedience, it's you have no room to question. There's no conversation at all. Do it because I said so. That's it.
So what does respect look like in action to you as a parent?
You are allowed to ask why.
Sure.
In all instances.
There's some things that are non-negotiable. Like in chores is probably not the best, but that's not non-negotiable. We all live together. We need to have a clean house. That's your answer.
Mhm.
But if it's, why can't I spend the night? Well, let me tell you why. Do I know their parents?
Mhm.
Have I ever been in their house? Have they ever been over here? This is why you can't. Like for me, I'm okay with giving my children reasons why.
But to me, that's you showing respect to your children. But how did your children show respect to you?
Accepting the answer.
Okay, got it.
Even when it may not be easy to accept.
Accepting the answer.
I don't know if you've done this, but what when I deal with kids who want to ask why, and honestly, the answer is just not one that they're ever gonna get, like because they're just not at that place. I just have to say, I understand you're asking why because you want to understand, but at this point, you're not gonna understand, and it's gonna make you mad, and it's okay to be mad about what I'm asking you to do that you don't want to do.
See, but that nuance of it's okay to be mad is also
Oh,
new.
yeah, new, right. Yeah, but I think it is new, but I also think it is one where we're recognizing you do have to be respectful of kids. Like I think a lot of our current generation is being okay with our kids having emotion.
Validate those feelings.
Yeah, right.
Because we were told, fix your face.
Right, exactly. Like you couldn't have feelings about things.
Well,
So we're
for different
still
reasons.
navigating how we feel about certain things. Whereas this current generation, I think we're fully aware that your feelings have place. They have place, and there's a reason why you have them. You may not understand them, and I may not ever be able to help you articulate that, but I am going to say, okay, it's okay to feel this way. That's like not wrong to feel this way because I'm asking you to maybe do something that doesn't make sense. And at this point, you don't want to do it. Period. You just don't want to do it, which is fine, but I'm going to need you to still do it and be okay with you still being mad. Like if you got to do it mad, or if you need a moment. I'm a camp of you need a moment, take a moment, go do whatever you need to do. You need a hug. We can hug it out.
Yeah.
It's still got to be done.
Yeah.
We got, and I can't give you an answer that's gonna
Satiate that.
I mean, I've gone through 15 whys. It's still not gonna be an answer you're gonna understand, and I
Or that
can't
you like.
or that you like,
Yeah.
because you're still gonna have to do it.
Or is reason enough for you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because like, what? There's tons of things that people do as adults
That you
that
don't
we
like.
don't like, and
But
we
you
don't
do
know that you give me your why, and I still don't like that. Whether or not, like, are we gonna navigate this relationship still, and I'm gonna be mad, and we just gonna move forward, or are we gonna go our separate ways? In this case, as parents,
You ain't going
nowhere. So you're just gonna be mad.
Right. So are your kids allowed to question every single thing, or is it more of a time and place?
Time and place.
Okay. So you'll always, if you can't answer the question or their why now, you'll circle back.
Yeah.
And they know that they can circle back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even like, where are you going? I'm a grown woman. Why are you asking me where I'm going? But I answer.
Do you say that first? I'm a grown woman. Why are you asking me?
No.
I'm going to the store.
I'm going to the store. And if I'm being sarcastic, I'm going to go take over the world. And I walk out. They're like, really? Yeah, that's my answer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the answer
Right.
right now.
Later on, maybe at dinner, we'll talk about my day. But right now,
Mommy gotta go.
Right now, mind
I'm
your
leaving. I'm leaving. But it took some time for me because I'm like, I don't want anybody asking me where am I going. I know, like that's a trigger. Don't ask me where I'm going. I'm going.
for real.
Yeah.
But
I feel you.
having kids is like, okay.
I feel the same way. I hate
Okay,
location.
so I am really tight about that because I was just having this conversation the other
See
day.
it all over your face.
I feel the same way. I hate people having my location.
Well,
Hate it.
So you hate all of us, or
yes.
Yes, like when we did that app, I was like, oh, it's a one-time thing. And we still have it. I'm like,
Okay, we can turn it
did it
off.
for you.
I know, but that one time, nobody can
Okay.
I want to tell you and I want you to know where I'm
Okay,
at.
we can.
I am not talking
we
to
can
you.
just turn
At
it
all.
off. At all. Like,
But see, I'm talking y'all. Because like, if I have your location, I'm gonna look. I just don't want you to know where I'm at, and like, I tell you where I'm at.
well, be assured that we're not looking, but you are looking, and we clearly are.
Not you being the problem you hate. Look at you
And the
projecting.
app turning off on her at that.
I'm
That was like,
I'm okay
stop
with
doing
being
what you're doing.
Okay. But
That is fair.
so the problem, well, I'm not even gonna say the problem. Where I'm a little tight is am like, I remember when we would get in the car and we were like, Mommy, where are we going? And she'd be like, sit back and ride. And I'm like,
Let me out.
okay. Right? But then I realized over time, sometimes it was like one of those, now that I am helping my sisters raise their kids, sometimes it was one of those, I don't want to overcommit
Yes.
type
Ooh,
deal.
child. Come on, say
Because
it.
especially some of the younger kids that it's like you have to occupy the asses all day.
All the time.
Mhm.
And I'm like, if y'all don't sit your ass, like go read a book. Go read a book. I can't read. I don't care.
Sound out the letters.
Look at the pictures.
Just keep reading the alphabet until you figure out how to read it. Something. But it's one of those things. But when you tell them something, now they have ingrained in their mind that it has to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So now I get frustrated that sometimes people will tell them what's happening.
Ooh,
and then when
child.
it doesn't happen, it's like their whole world is over. And I'm like, if you just shut the hell up and don't tell them nothing.
Nathan, tell him in the car.
And just say, sit back and ride. And then I remember on my childhood, and like it got to a point where I'd be like, Mom, where are we going? She's like, sit back and ride. I'm like, okay, just tell me how many snacks I should bring. Just, do I need to bring a day's worth of snacks? Or am I just riding? She's like, just ride. Okay. Because that meant we were just going to get some food along the way. Like, I just need to know what type of snacks I just need to bring. Because
Is my blood pressure going to drop?
Yeah,
Right.
my mom's blanket answer used to be errands. And it can
That's
take
it.
as long as it need to take. Don't ask no more questions. We gonna
Don't
stop
ask
where we
How
need to
long we gonna be
stop.
gone? Don't
Don't.
ask me that.
yeah.
If we pulled up to a grocery store, I'd be like, don't let us pull up to Costco on a Saturday. We gonna be here all
I could have stayed at the house.
And yes, you can. That's
Yeah.
why you could.
I used to be
But don't
beaten
ask
not
for
to ride.
Nathan. Don't
But
ask
see,
for
that's
Nathan.
where I have trouble because I'm like, oh God, it irked my nerve when somebody asks, especially a grown person. And when you're not going, when I see a grown person going somewhere and the child ain't even going with him and be like, where you going? Mind your goddamn stay your ass right where you is and go do what you supposed to do. And then I'm gonna do what I'm supposed to do. And then everybody gonna be doing what they supposed to do.
Right? You okay? You know, put a hand on her side. Okay. All right.
Is this a parent wound that we need to heal you from? Like, should we talk to it a little bit more?
I'm not. I'm like you. I don't want nobody. You don't need to know where the hell I'm at. You don't need to know. It's a need to know basis. Okay?
In my skin.
Okay. Sorry, I'm done.
It's okay. But I've processed my answer. I know why you need to know where I'm going.
Okay.
Yeah, my job. I get it.
Okay. Well, maybe you can tell
I've
me
had to
after
process
this.
it. But I do still have the moment like, what?
All right. Well, maybe you can shed some light. My therapist hasn't yet.
Nicole's like, can I cancel my appointment on Monday or no? Okay, what are we doing? Can we talk to it now or no?
For real though.
But thank you for talking about therapy. That warms my heart, though. It really does.
Because it's necessary.
Yeah,
Everybody
it is.
needs it.
Thank you.
Regardless of what age, color, or creed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Would you put your kids in therapy?
Especially for
I
us.
sure would. And I asked them several times during COVID, do I need to make a phone call?
Oh,
And
okay.
I was so serious. Like,
Mhm.
you can talk to me or you can talk to somebody else.
Oh, so that brings a good question. Do you think so? It sounds like that's optional for you.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, if you don't want to talk to me, I have phone. I can call somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with you talking to a complete stranger.
Okay.
I just need you to get it out.
Ooh.
Well, the reason why I asked is because I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't have biological kids yet, but I feel like if they got to their age of talking, I would explore the option of getting them therapy, even without saying, hey, do you want to do this? I would just say, hey,
You got an appointment on Tuesday?
yeah.
It's great. And I was a play therapist for the little ones, like 2 and 3. Like,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah. I don't see I don't see how it would hurt.
It doesn't.
Okay, so I have another question. You're a elementary school counselor.
Mm-hmm.
What are kids coming to you the most at that age?
Friendship. They have a hard time making friends and keeping friends. Because it's my friend.
Trenches.
It's just,
Mhm.
But it's my friend. You can't be her friend.
Oh yeah.
You can only be my friend.
No, we
And
go through that now.
Talk
about
it.
Not us being 7-year-olds having the same issues.
But it's lifelong. It's a lifelong
So
struggle.
what's crazy
It
is I'm the
is.
only person staying at home and everybody else be outside.
Mm.
But who got friends though?
Carol, how often she be in the house? You track her location.
Well, since let me look at my notes app, and I made a notation every time you left the house. Oh, that kind of makes me sad though. That's one of the things I fear with Trey's going to preschool in August. And I do fear like him, like, are you going to be a bully? Or are you going to be the kid that doesn't have any friends? Or like, are you going to be the ones in the corner eating lunch by himself?
Yes.
Like, it makes me really sad to think about if he's not going to have friends, or can he not like foster friendships? Or
Yes.
is he going to be the one bullying other kids?
Is it like, does it make you sad? I feel like it's
It
part of the
does.
developmental process. Is it, don't all kids go through? I don't know. I'm
I
not
feel
trying
like
to be.
all kids do,
Oh.
but I also think COVID has really played a huge role
Mhm.
in
Socializing.
socializing.
Yeah.
They just don't know how.
I mean,
So-
me either, so I get it. But I do remember like elementary school, like
It's
my
hard.
friendships used to be like the biggest. Like my mom would get phone calls about me and my
Yes.
best friend fighting. So I just feel like it's part of it.
And it's still to this day.
That makes
It is. And then, I mean, you'll have like that ringleader. You'll have the person who's on the outs all the time. It's just,
Oh.
when you look at it, everybody plays their role
Mm.
in friendships. And then there's some kids who can just walk in a room and they're instantly friends with everyone.
Mm.
There's some kids who can't, and they don't know how to navigate that. But that's also part of regulating their emotions
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Is there a person that has friends but don't want to be friends with nobody?
You haven't encountered
I haven't encountered that.
I haven't encountered
Not
that.
Nicole about to sign up for a session. I'll be here first.
I understand not wanting to make new friends.
Oh, okay.
I get that because that's where I am in my life. I don't want new friends. I don't. I don't. I like the friends that I have, and I don't.
No, I mean like elementary, not
No,
now.
we don't have that in elementary.
Oh, I felt like in
not you being a
elementary school-
sociopath.
No, we don't have that.
Oh, in elementary school, I was always the person that was like, "Hey, Nicole," I'm like, "I don't like you."
You're so fake because you're fake like that now, and you be the friendliest one of all of us.
I'm
Of all
friendly,
of
but
us.
I don't want to be friends with you.
So like associate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was cool, but I don't. We're not friends.
I just had this
But you
conversation the
also
other
be giving out
day.
your phone number. You see how it's conflicting?
Like
Like
I don't give out my. Who do I give my number to?
I don't know, Natasha. Who's she?
Circle back to that hoe you talked about earlier.
Why isn't she messaging you on Teams like Carol's coworker?
You mean our
Why she guessing her number?
Our fifth listener, you listen for
Dang. Just lost one. Thanks, Tiff.
Sorry, Natasha. It's not personal. Just an example.
Dang. Viewership just went down 10%.
Better give her flowers. Why she be the only one still listening to our podcast?
Oh, goodness. All right. Well, is there anything else there?
Oh.
You guys want to cover? This is good. I enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, we hit a lot of.
It was good.
Oh, I did want to ask one question about like, I feel like there's also like parenting your parents.
Oh, child.
What does that mean? And are people doing it?
Yes.
Yes.
What does it look like?
Let me tell you.
You are actually
I'm being like, actually, I'm
physically and
the expert here.
emotionally.
I'm gonna lean this way.
I don't know if you ever.
I just feel like once they hit a certain age, they don't listen.
correct.
But if you were able
Yeah.
to be like, hey, don't beat my kid. Like, I don't beat my kids because X, and we don't need to do that in my house, and so you won't. Does that not
Huh?
qualify as parenting your parents?
Say that
A
again.
little bit.
It does.
Like, you know,
On one
placing that boundary of like how you're gonna raise
I feel
your
like
kids
that's
and
just
how
a
you.
boundary. Like, these are my children. These are your grandchildren. Yes.
Sure, but you don't think they like learn anything from?
they
Isn't that the
might.
part of-
A little bit.
Okay.
I think my mom has realized that some of the things that she did, they were necessary. And she's seen that through my children.
Yeah, I feel like that
Yeah.
kind of qualifies.
Yeah,
Am I
for
alone?
sure.
Okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Took a turn.
No.
Got scary for a second.
No, I think I was watching this show, and one of the greatest quotes I heard was, obviously nobody prepares you to parent your children, but nobody ever prepares you to parent your parent.
Mm.
Right. And I took that, like, and I felt it deep because I, as a caretaker, and two, being the person that, now granted, I get help from my siblings, but as the person who is like the sole caretaker for my mom, it, and her and all her stubbornness and only childness, it is a lot, because she is like very much so, I want it my way. I don't want to listen to anybody. I want to, it is a lot. Like, and even having very tough conversations, like you can definitely see a shift in the conversation from her trying to teach me and educate me to like, look, Mom, like this is what we need to do. And it's not what we need to do. This is what you're going to do now. And you can definitely see how the conversation is shifting from, you know, her giving me advice. I mean, she still does. I still go to my mom for certain things, but the conversation definitely shifts. And parenting your parent is, because they get way more stubborn the older they get. It's definitely not like a
Just don't
child.
listen.
I think it also
don't.
changes too when they're depending on you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like that's a different dynamic too. Whereas like we're growing up, your parents are self-sufficient. They don't need you as much. It's a different conversation. Whereas now you are depending on me for things.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm almost an authoritative figure
Yeah.
in your life, is a different lens as
Yeah.
well.
Yep. And it's also very different when it's different. I was thinking about like if your parent has a significant other, like if they're married versus if they're single,
Yeah.
it's also a very different dynamic because they have their person that they can lean on. Like they can kind of support each other
Yeah.
versus if they're single, because then they're looking to their children to
Children,
kind of
yep.
help them do all the things that they would normally do with their partner
That's
in
right.
whatever fashion. So it's a very different dynamic in a way.
I think that added nuance to that too is having parents who are not as focused on their mental health, for lack of a better term. And so if they have not worked, if they have not put in the work, and then you were trying to navigate helping, but also healing as a whole, it's hard when they have not put in the work. And so you're like, I was thinking the other day, I was like, is there any way to like just put your parents in therapy? Like,
You guys invite your therapist to Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh.
Just have them sit.
I thought you were about to put them in what is it? A C-130, 51. The one
A psychiatric
Yeah,
hold?
That's what I trying to do. You gonna go to therapy when we're
Okay, go
So
on.
what are the clock? No.
Because I'm just like, because it's that thing of they're being very stubborn, but you're not sometimes having conversations because you're still the child, right?
Mhm.
And there's sure I'm the child and I'm somewhat helping you when you are unable to do certain things, or just in general, we're trying to have this 2 adult conversation, but you are still looking at me as a kid, yes, I need your help, but I also need your vulnerability.
Mhm.
I also need your awareness of self.
Mhm.
And I can't, if you keep looking at me at the child that you don't want to expose this information to, what are we doing? Because I don't want to argue with you
Go
about stuff
round and
that
round.
at this point we should, come on. Like, let's look at it like two adults. Let's see, you can be vulnerable now, because at this point, I'm going to find out some stuff anyway, probably off GP, because I'm going to have to start taking care of you in a minute, right? So the things you've been trying to hide.
You cannot
they're gonna
rationalize with an irrational individual.
I know, and that's why I'm just like, who has the ability to be able to put them in some type of, is there a way to do this? Can I just hire somebody for somebody else? I just need a moment, like, please, somebody help me. Help me help them.
How do you trick people?
How do you trick your parents into going to therapy? Yes. I need this answer.
It's generational though. Like, it really is.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an uphill battle.
It's like those videos of people who see like people's phones like sitting by themselves and they're like,
Better health.
Yeah.
Like hoping one commercial will finally like do the trick. Is there something like I've just been hearing all these commercials about stuff? Yes. Why don't we sign up? You just put your information here. You can do it on your phone. You don't even have to. You don't have to leave home.
You don't have to leave.
Right, please. Something. If anybody out there knows about a way I can do this, please.
That's a whole nother convo.
WKUT together or WKU together at gmail.com. Please.
Somebody's like, help me. Help me. All right. Well, one thing we're going to do is tangent.
okay. For today's tangent, it's actually topical, so less of a tangent than most of our conversation today. Are there things that you're experiencing in parenting or your romantic relationship that you were told would be annoying or warned about that, contrary to what you were told, you actually enjoy? So this came up because I saw this like podcast. This guy was talking about, people always told me like, oh my God, it's so annoying when my girl like calls me for every little thing. She's like always like asking me for stuff. And I just like, she's so needy. It's like so clingy and annoying. And he's like, I actually love that. I love that I'm the first person that she thinks to call when she's trying to solve a problem or if she can't like figure something out. Like she wants to hear from me. And so I thought it would be an interesting lens of a question for potential answers.
Read the question again.
The question's really convoluted because I wrote it. Sorry. So let me try to simplify it. Are there things that you experience in parenting that you thought would be annoying that you actually enjoy?
Don't take this the wrong way. But your children are always talking to you. I really thought that would be annoying, but it's not.
Okay.
That's cute.
No, I'm excited to hear that because that's a fear of mine. Which is why I wanted to ask this question. I feel like we hear a lot about like the drags of parenting, and I imagine that being one of them.
Yeah, I mean, they talk a lot. They really do. But
They talk a lot.
Yeah, not as bad.
Okay.
It's
Or
not.
like, you enjoy some of the conversation?
I do.
Okay.
I really do.
Sometimes I see like people's like parents being like, "Oh, my kid is so funny," and I'm like, "All right, go yeah, hilarious."
Sure they are.
To you, they are. Yeah,
Right.
not everybody else. But no, it's And I'm just gonna say this just for the record: the teenage years are not as bad as everyone makes it seem. It's not.
Oh, I'm more scared of the toddler phase.
God, they're great. Great.
God bless you.
Yeah, so some days are really, really great. I think since mine's an only child, him always wanting to play with me, like sometimes that is annoying. But sometimes it's great. Like we have a really good time together. Like we'll go outside, we'll like play with chalk. He wants to get on a scooter. He wants me to watch him ram his cars into each other because that's amazing. Or like last night, that time, he kept calling me like really, really enthusiastic. So I go into the bathroom and he just poured the water out of a cup into the tub. That was it. But for him, he did something spectacular. Okay. I was like, wow, you called me that many times.
You want to know what? That's mad scientist. That was water displacement.
Okay.
You see that? You see that?
It is. And sometimes I'm like, well, I could be watching Real Housewives right now. But sometimes I'm like, wow, that is your brain is like doing something. And like you're actively learning something new and you want to share it with me. And so like that's cool that you think enough about me. Like I'm your friend and like you want to share stuff with me. I would say Sometimes it is annoying, but sometimes I'm like, wow, like you actually like me, and I like that you like hanging out with me. Because at some point you might not.
Right.
But right
That's
now,
real.
it's fun.
Right.
I really like that.
I like it. I like that. Well, I ain't got no kids. So.
Yeah, I ain't
But that's why I asked about romantic relationships also. Both y'all are
things
in
that I thought would
situations.
be annoying. Sharing the bathroom, and that is ghetto. Like,
No, that's not.
No,
Okay, you're not supposed to
no,
confirm.
no,
You're
no.
not supposed to confirm it.
Oh.
You're supposed to be something that's not annoying.
Missing the mark. Oh, hold on. I got my list. Things that annoy me.
Everything.
I love that man. Yeah. And they said that eventually he would get annoying, and he's not as annoying as he's not as annoying.
See,
as I thought
already,
he
you know,
would
you're
be
already
after.
messing up. He's not as annoying. It's still not what the question is supposed to be getting at.
I mean, people say that after a decade they get real dry and annoying, and he's not.
Okay. So, like, you're not bored yet. That's
No.
what you thought would happen, and you're
Yeah.
still enjoying
Yes.
being okay.
Mhm.
Are you sure?
Unsure if you're sure.
No, he's cool.
I don't know that I have anything. I feel like mine was the exact. I feel like a lot of people were like, "Oh, it's gonna be great," and relationships are great. Sometimes they are
Work.
A whole lot of work.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Rihanna.
So you're
She's
just
Where are we
like,
going with this?
I think that's the bill of goods. I think that I often was fed.
The bill of
was-
goods.
Come on,
I
let's
feel
keep
like
it real.
we are
Because
counteracting the question.
I am.
Y'all are.
Because I honestly
Go on.
don't remember hearing too many downsides of it. I think the only thing you hear about the downsides may be like being careful on who you pick, right? Because in relationships, because they are a lot of work, you have to be careful like who you're tying yourself to, what the circles of friends. But I don't know. I've learned a lot from the ones that were bad. So I don't think those as real problems as far as like, so maybe that's one, maybe? Like me learning from the ones that were bad, because you have to be careful who you pick. So sometimes I wasn't in the very beginning because I didn't have a lot of experience. So you make mistakes, right? But I've learned a lot from those. I don't look back at them and being like, oh, I should have never done. Yeah, I made some mistakes, but I wouldn't be who I am without them. So I guess maybe that is an answer to the question, kind of, sort of. Like, it's,
I think we
It's-
failed. I think we
Okay.
failed. It's
did we
fine.
feel?
It's
No,
fine.
I said the bad was you have to like really be careful about who you pick.
But that's not about your
This has been
relationship right
uplifting.
now. But
Oh,
that's
they're
fine.
not-
But it's fine.
It's
It's
fine.
okay.
Honestly, I don't have an answer. I told you I don't have an answer, so I was trying to say
This
that.
is comforting, honestly.
Is
I
it?
do,
I
yeah.
thought
I
it
love
was
it.
going to be more of an uplifting tangent than how it turned out.
Yeah.
I thought that like spending as much time together as we spend was going to get annoying. And I'm a little bit sick of myself that it's not. Like it's weird to me that it's not. Because I don't like spending this much time with anyone else, but I don't really get like bored of it. Like I thought that we would like run out of, I actually always used to fear that I would like run out of things to talk about. Like I would fear like being at dinner with my significant other and being like, I know everything about you because we're with each other all the time and there's
There's
nothing to
nothing
talk
else.
about, and that doesn't happen. And I'm thankful for that. Like I'm enjoying that it's like not dry.
Yeah. Okay, when you put it like that, no, that makes a lot of sense because with Harry not working 2 jobs, I was concerned that him being home more, that I was going to be like, you're invading my space. But I actually appreciate him being home more in the evenings now because I feel like we can have dinner together. Whereas before we really weren't able to do that. And we can actually like plan things in the evening
Spend
granted, the
time together.
weekends are still shot, but during the week we can still do things during the evening. So that's
Yeah.
fun.
That's good.
Your face.
I had a coworker who was like going to retire, and then his wife decided to retire because it was like right after COVID, and she was like, "You need to work another year.
Ooh.
I need at least a year by myself before you can retire."
I've heard of that.
I was like,
That's fair.
I've heard of that.
Yep. Mhm.
Yep.
Yep,
Sounds
we
about
gotta
right.
stagger this.
Yeah.
"We're not gonna make it if you come home."
I need my time.
Right. Yeah.
I know somebody doing that. It's funny. But anyway.
God, it's funny.
Anyway,
All
time for
Coley's Corner.
I like it.
You gotta explain to Natalie what it is.
So Coley's Corner is, because I'm the resident auntie.
Okay.
People call in or send in
Not
their
calling.
questions.
I ain't never had calling.
So they can get their advice.
Oh, I like
you know,
that.
sometimes it's
Leave a voicemail.
meaningful and sometimes it's a whole lot ratchet.
Oh.
And being the fact that we had a whole lot of meaningful conversation
going
today,
ratchet.
we going real ratchet.
Balance.
Okay. And it's going to be just real quick, you know, real little. And given the time frame that most of us, you know, I think that we all came up in this era. The question is real. Keep it cute. It's from It's On Site on Instagram.
Just to know where the
Just
bars
the baseline.
sit.
And the question is Slow Motion or Rodeo by Juvenile.
Ooh, I love.
Okay.
Oh,
So
that's not what. Okay, I'm glad you clarified. It was a song. Did not know where we were going when you started talking.
I wish you had just blurted out your answer before you
This ain't my segment.
please blurt it out. Just say what you feel.
No,
Say
go
what you
ahead. You answer.
Just whisper it in the mic.
So the question on the table is, of the two songs, jeez, which one of you, Slow Motion or Rodeo by Juvenile? I'll let our guest go first.
I love slow motion.
I like that.
She was that know how to act slow motion for me. Slow motion for me.
I'm so glad I'm amongst good company. I'm so glad I'm amongst good company. Well, if you have any questions, please feel free. That's it. That's all we need for today. If you have any questions or you need any advice from your local auntie panel, please submit to our Instagram at WKU together, or email us at I have that backwards, don't I?
Yeah.
It's at what keeps us, and email us at WKU together@gmail.com.
All right.
So we're not discussing at all why Auntie likes slow motion over rodeo.
Look here.
Yeah. I'm just saying.
Look here.
Okay.
Do you want to discuss it?
No, I'm just asking. I mean, we gave answers.
I think it is
you're supposed to be
self-explanatory.
giving advice to the young people. I didn't know if there was a reason.
Okay.
Because I said so.
I'm just being messy.
I'm
just being
trying to
messy.
be
I'm just being
developmentally
messy.
appropriate for
Okay.
the children.
Okay, then that's fine. We'll leave it right there. Y'all don't know. Figure it out for yourself.
For the children that's listening out there.
This podcast ain't for children.
It has an explicit rating.
It does.
If you're under 18, turn it off.
Right now.
Now. Okay.
All right.
Nobody wants to go to the rodeo. Okay. Well, let me take that back.
Wait, you're
The
going to
rodeo is
explain anyway?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and
How's that
explain
song go?
quickly.
I can't really.
Rodeo, something like that.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
I like it on the rodeo. Yeah.
I mean, if you've ever been to the rodeo, you know they
Wow, we're going
jump
into
on.
specifics.
Yeah, you jump onto the back of the bull, the horse that you're gonna jump, and then you hold on tight, and then they open the gate and you go jumping out, and you try to stay on as long as you can. Or
Oh, pretty.
are you with it?
No, I hold on to slow motion for me.
Okay,
I do like
so
that
she's
song
still
though.
holding on to slow motion. So what you do is, you go out and then you try to stay on as long as you can.
Okay,
for
I feel like we need to Why are we doing this?
because Saya asked for it. Saya asked for it. So Saya asked for it, so she's gonna get it. You hold on as long as you can.
Wow, there's a joke right there too. Okay, there's a thing called consent. All right. You don't have to, if you don't want to ask for it, you don't have to get it. There's a kid staring at me right now and I feel very uncomfortable.
Bring it
Tell
back.
him about consent.
Bring it back. Nonetheless, it is typically for a very quick period of time. Okay. And sometimes that works given time and place, right? It's always time and place.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Wow, it's a
time and
sermon.
place.
Mm-hmm.
But for some, if you prefer slow motion, like that, we should doing that back, okay? It's a time.
This
Period.
is the best thing.
I feel
could
so
ever
uncomfortable.
ask for. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Go ahead, girl. This is
Is
exactly
there a
what
proverb coming to you? Where's the text?
The only thing I was missing from that statement was a little
It's just it's an extended period of time.
Nicole says she needs to.
I'm sick.
You know, that allows
Okay. All right.
for the rest of them lyrics to ensue.
Okay. I ain't mad
For
at
you to enjoy.
You heard it
At
first.
your desirable pleasure.
There it is.
And that's it. And that's it.
You heard it first from your resident auntie.
Now just make sure in
There's
the
more?
future, if you have any questions
Okay.
that you would like to ask or need advice, that you email respectfully or hit us in our DMs.
It's time for meme of the week. Okay. Oh,
What a tangent.
I keep
Hey.
forgetting we had that.
It's
sound
more fun
effect.
to do it with our mouths.
Okay, this one's coming from COVID. I don't know. They screenshotted it, so I'm not going to give them credit.
Huh.
It says, "If you're a RN, I need your help ASAP. I'm a real nigga. What's up?"
Oh, I've seen that.
So, no, I'm talking about a registered nurse.
Gotta be specific.
See?
Yeah.
You gotta be specific.
And of course, it came from Facebook, which feels very on brand
Yes, it
for this
does.
to be coming from
Yes,
Facebook.
It does.
I know
You
whose
know
page
it's
that
an
was
old
on
dude.
it.
No, and this person, like they said, they screenshot it, so I know it's not theirs.
Yeah.
I'm a real nigga. What's up? I'm gonna start saying that.
Start applying to RN positions.
I got 36 years of experience of being a real nigga. Hire me.
Man, you have no certifications. You got right. You have no certifications. You've done no work in the medical field.
Yeah.
You said RN.
Don't you see that? UOB, University of the Block. Oh, God.
All right. Well, now it's our aftershade portion of the show where we give advice, or no, we affirm people, kinda.
Okay.
So it can be good advice, it could be good affirmations, it could be shade. It's, however you're feeling. It could be a combination of both.
Who wants to go first? Huh?
I don't know
I
if
guess
I'm
I
ready.
can go first.
Oh God.
Wow.
I think I want to affirm for our listeners that, as we said earlier, parenting, there is no rule book. There's nothing that is gonna tell you exactly what you need to do on such day or even age, right? Like your kids are gonna be their own unique individual selves, and then you're gonna also have to combat that with your own self, because they may not mix, right? They may be a perfect blend, or they may be oil and vinegar. But I want to affirm for our listeners that if you were putting forth the effort, you were trying, you were seeing your own mistakes, you were recognizing that there is room for improvement. I promise you are not alone in this. I want to affirm for you that the journey, part of the journey and part of the learning is taking the steps, is walking it out, is going through the frustrating moments as much as it is the joyous moments. I want to affirm from you that it's not easy. It's not for the faint of heart, but if you continue to move forward, trying to constantly grow with your children, I promise you the rewarding experience will be the journey itself and not the nuances along the way. So I want to affirm for you, keep going, keep doing your best. I promise you, your kids, even if they say they don't like you every day, that you are still doing a good job, and that as long as you tell them you love them, everything else will be all right.
I can go. I will say parenting is really hard. And you're doing a good job. You're doing your best. Your kids are little humans. And I think as long as we remember that kids deserve respect, kids deserve to be heard and deserve to be listened to, just like you want to be heard and to be listened to, I think parenting starts to not be so much of a chore or a labor or feel like that sometimes. My kid's only 4, and we have a lot of conversations because I try to treat him like he's a human being. So I think if we just go into parenting remembering that kids deserve all the same things that adults do, it'll be a little bit easier.
Oh, I can go next. I want to affirm our parents that are trying to forge friendships with their adult children. I just want to affirm for you that there is strength and power and growth in relationship and vulnerability, and that it's not a weakness and it's not gonna mar how your child thinks of you or how they consider you or think less of you, it's going to help your relationship grow and flourish. And it's going to give you an opportunity to be human too, and not always have to be strong or right or all knowing. It's going to give you an opportunity to feel safe with your children too, which you also deserve. And I want that for you. And so that is my affirmation.
Aw. So I will say that it is just like you pass down a certain amount of genetic whatever to your children from both parents. It is important that you heal from trauma so that you don't also pass that down to your children, because they will also pass it down to their children as they learn and grow from it as well. So I affirm for parents that are already parents, that may be becoming parents, or that may soon to be parents, or anywhere in between, that it is important to heal from your trauma. Seek therapy. It is important for everyone of all ages. So then that way, no matter who you come in contact with, even if you aren't a parent, but yet you help with parenting, that you're a part of the village, that you become a positive influence in that person's life.
Oh, is it on me? Let's see. I guess I kind of already said everything I wanted to say, but parenting is hard, but it can be fun as well. Take it day by day and just know that you are doing an excellent job. Even if you don't feel like you are, you are. And it's okay to check in with your children. It's okay to be uncomfortable with your children. You are your children's first teacher, and make sure that you are the best example that you can be. And then what I will say is pick your village very carefully. Everybody has an opinion on what you should and what you should not be doing, but you know your children best. So just continue to do what you're doing and block all of the naysayers out, because those are your children. That's it.
That's a good one.
That is good.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yes,
Thank
you
you
for having me.
Yeah. Hope you had fun.
Good to know.
Love that for us.
Yes. We'll
Yeah,
see you
in 2
guys
weeks.
next time.
All right. Bye.